This is Hesselbarth's fault. I want everybody to know that.
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. An Indianapolis woman who was convicted 4 years ago of killing her ex-husband and dismembering his corpse. This is Hesselbarth's fault. I want everybody to know that. He's giving me all kinds of static about the nightcap. I'm going to get him. Hello? Bill? Bill, that does it. Tomorrow I go in to see George. A critical weekend in Portugal. The military government there is meeting with political leaders now, trying to defuse the country's
Football League to provide the day's best chuckle. The Shreveport Steamer claimed that a player they released last week has walked off with about $12,000 worth of club tickets. And, Michael, what can I say? It could only happen in the...
Figured up, it will be a record for the state. The big question today is employment, where the jobs are for today and tomorrow. And Josh Lippman went around Indiana to find out what's next. And we'll have that story a little bit later on. Being combat ready, that's the goal of the Indiana Air. In vetoing the $8 billion measure, Ford said it is too much to ask the American people and our economy to bear. Ford has now vetoed 35 bills since taking office. The search continues for someone to assume the presidency of the Indiana Vocational Technical College.
Tonight with a low 65 for Sunday afternoon, sunny skies and mild temperatures with a high of 85. That's our news, and have a good night.
This has been Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, pre-recorded for presentation at this time. Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. There was another pre-Christmas bank holdup in Indianapolis yesterday, and another suspect is behind bars. The robbery this time in the Indiana National Bank, the Indiana National Bank branch, located next door to the Channel 8 News studios. One of our...
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. Police today are still looking for two men in what could be the biggest bank holdup in Indiana.
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition. A summary of world, national, and local news developments.
No, I can't do it yet. I can't do it.
Good evening. 26 persons were taken hostage tonight in a prison at The Hague in the Netherlands. Authorities say that 4 armed prisoners, one of them a Palestinian hijacker who was serving time, took the hostages during a Catholic mass in the prison chapel. More on the story from Joyce Van Meer at The Hague. Well, unfortunately, we're having some difficulty getting the audio tape from our correspondent Van Meer at The Hague up to play. As we said, the 4 armed prisoners included that Palestinian hijacker whose name has been repeated by the Netherlands authorities, and 26 persons are being held hostage at this hour. In Rabat, Morocco, the Arab Summit got underway formally today. That's an important meeting to decide the next peace move in the Middle East, and security was extremely tight, due primarily to friction over the Palestinian issue. Jordan's King Hussein, this is obviously Henry Kissinger in Moscow, and it must be obvious to you that we're having some difficulties here. Henry Kissinger is in Moscow, and we'll have that complete story for you in a moment. I think under the circumstances, probably the best thing we can do right now is pause for this message.
Drinkwater, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The Justice Department announced today a federal grand jury
With richer, better flavor.
Rain put a damper on quite a few things today. Some events were canceled, some moved inside, and a few...
Once again, the underdog didn't make it out of the clay courts.
It's one of those gallant stories that...
Is Nancy Gunter the people's choice?
Nah, probably Chris Everett. Ever since she broke up with Jimmy Connors, she required respectability again. Good evening, everyone. Well, the form chart escaped a major battering this afternoon at the Racket Club, but you can't really pin the blame on Nancy Gunter. The 6-time champ gave it all she had and then some in extending Chris Everett to the 3-set limit. Tomorrow's finals, however, still sport the defending champ. The 32-year-old Mrs. Gunter surprised everyone by whipping Chrissy 7-6 in the first set today. She followed that up by moving 5 games on top in set number 2. Then...
What else?
Come on, Jane. Give me a break.
I guess that about sums it up, doesn't it? Well, thank you, Gary.
Back to you, Jane.
Take
Oh,
it.
good evening, or whatever it happens to be. Yeah.
The FBI and police are also looking for 2 customers who were in the bank at the time of the shooting. They may have been witnesses to the robbery murder. 4 other bank robbers apparently headed east after they robbed a bank at Richmond yesterday.
Take a musical journey from the 1930s to the 1950s with the acclaimed singing group, the Manhattan Transfer. Don't miss the premiere tonight at 7:30, 6:30 Central on CBS.
Racial incident reported in Boston today. That story and others coming up next on the Channel 8 Early Edition News. Calls for partly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight. Lows in the middle 60s somewhere. Partly cloudy, warm and humid tomorrow with highs in the mid-80s. Fair and mild tomorrow night with lows in the middle to upper 60s. Partly cloudy.
Michigan. After the match, the president went right to the driving range for a 45-minute golf lesson. I don't know if that says anything about his game or not. In other news tonight, the Army...
That was great, Luke. Moving right along.
All right, the king of the piano and maybe the jewelry business threw a luncheon today. Liberace wanted to thank those at Starlight for their...
motorists are urged to proceed north on Delaware. Lou?
A brief but long painting, proof that life has its ups and downs, and our newly crowned queen, all seen tonight in People and Pictures, which we'll have a little bit later on. But first, a meat packer is embroiled in a bribery scheme. We'll have that story after this.
Trade surplus for the first 5 months of 1974. Mike? Bill.
It's good the way they did that. I kind of like floating into the picture like that.
See that again.
Well, this all adds up to tonight's look at People and Pictures in the News, featuring a face you've not likely seen for a while, not unless you...
After Pringles, other potato chips just don't stack up.
Well, Scott, by now the Pacers are probably about as high as the mountains of Denver.
I don't think you better
Agree
say that
with
on television, Tom. Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's time to put away the shovels.
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Hello? Marty, oh, I was waiting for you to say something. Normally the operator...
Here's Jane Fawley. Jane?
The court heard, but for purposes of verdict making won't remember, testimony that racial and most other forms of prejudice are not erased by frequent contact. Dr. Ernest Vandenhag, in terms of sociological expertise, might well be the most eminent of all witnesses yet to appear. Vandenhag told the court, technically off the record, that prejudices are sometimes the result of ignorance and sometimes removed by knowledge. Bill?
Thank you, Jane. Did you hear a noise?
Yes, I did.
Yes, part of the camera falling apart. Channel 8's Jane Fawley was there and has the story. Jane?
Today was the last day of official testimony in the desegregation trial, and the United States Justice Department, which in the past has called witnesses from both East and West Coasts, looked south today for Dr. Dan Dodson of Austin, Texas. Dodson's desegregation experience as a professor of sociology covers 36 years in most of the East Coast. John?
Can't keep from ringing those chimes, can you, Jane? Integrating a history of all racial cults. 30 minutes from right now.
And Merry Christmas.
To all. It's a good movie.
To all, good night.
Yes, she's got to go back to the newsroom. We're going back to the Holiday Inn. That doesn't sound right.
Of Latter-day Saints are continuing the practice of stockpiling food. The evangelical press reports that approximately 30 to 40% of the U.S. Mormons are preparing for food shortages. The practice has been going on since 1937.
Dead mouse by my glass of water.
Oh, what?
There's a dead mouse by my glass of water.
A dead mouse by your glass.
Look, there is.
Boy, can drink the water.
Is it real?
Not anymore. Here's the deal.
Oh, then when they do that?
Bai added that while President Ford is out in Vail, Colorado vacationing, the country is going to pot.
Popular, as Gary Shepard reports.
This time it's a nationwide sale on new 1975 cars and trucks.
A $500 rebate when you buy any new 1974 rotary engine coupe.
This time it's up to $300 cash back on new 1975 Chrysler Corporation cars.
100, 200, 300, 400, $500. A $500 cash rebate.
When the gasoline shortage and the recession sent the auto industry into its worst tailspin in 15 years, auto showrooms looked as if someone had tacked up quarantine signs out front. So to bring back customers, the auto industry came up with what
The AFL-CIO president said in his Labor Day message, the Ford administration has brought the nation to the edge of economic calamity. Meany recommends one more year of tax cuts and a decrease in interest rates. But Housing Secretary Carla Hills had news of rising interest rates on FHA and VA loans today.
The big news with Mike Ahern, Lou Choate, Chet Coppett, and Stan Wood.
Good evening. Welcome to our store, such as it is here. We don't have any People's Choice steaks for you, but over here at the sports desk, we have a special on a fully dressed ham. You might be interested in that.
Yes, as a matter of fact, actually, I began my career, of course, at Dominic's as a stack boy, where I was the nation's total offense leader in terms of breaking up cans of children's pablum. Later then, I decided it was time to get a job, something more legitimate, so I became a broadcaster for a roller derby over Radio Free Europe. Then, of course, I moved down several notches. Now I'm a sportscaster here at Channel 8. But, of course, that does give me the opportunity to work with a guy like Mike Ahern, whose intellect and whose mode of broadcast journalism has frequently been compared to a can of 3-day-old Folgers coffee.
Would somebody turn him off? But we'll introduce Chet Coppett and all the rest of these people as if he needs an introduction in just a moment. But seriously, we here at Channel 8 would like to welcome all of you to Kroger's impressive commitment to television this year. We look forward to working with Kroger. In fact, I got my start with Kroger about 15 years ago or so, and Harry McDaniel was just a stock boy, I understand. He and Kroger are responsible for the first sponsorship of a news show I was on with Wally Nerling at WIRE Radio called the Nerling-Ahern Report. Huntley Brinkley stole their name of their show from us, 7:45 every morning, so we've enjoyed that relationship now for about 15 years. Let's meet everybody else here on this slave ship this evening if we could. First of all, the mirthful marsh midget, Stan Wood.
And notwithstanding the fact that I occasionally do a little spiel for the competition, glad to see you, ladies and gentlemen. And the only reason that I'm here in my capacity as weatherman is because I bombed out as a used grocery cart salesman. Right?
I remember that. There's a story behind that, too. Lou Choate, my colleague here on the Big News and here at Channel 8, actually is on a work release program from Flint, Michigan, and could join us.
Everybody is on a work release program from Flint, Michigan right now, I tell you. The reason I'm here, though, Mike, is because it beats sacking groceries at Kroger's in Flint, so...
I think we all have something in common. I think almost all of us worked at a grocery store in one capacity or the other. I worked at the Kroger store in Broad Ripple when it first opened. I started out as a sack boy, moved up to produce manager, and then to sack boy again, which is somewhere along the line my career.
Actually, as a matter of fact, I have a rather unique distinction. I'm probably the only one here amongst the foursome who ever robbed a grocery store. It happened to be the Kroger over on 38th Street.
You know what? I believe that story. But really, welcome aboard here at Channel 8. We know it's going to be a rewarding experience for all of us here in the news team, as well as the store managers at Kroger. And we ask just one thing. If we ever show up in your store in the near future, would you please make sure that we don't get the grocery cart with a wobbly front wheel?
And that we get the 15% discount.
Exactly. Thank you once again, and welcome aboard.
This has been Channel 8 News, the nightcap edition, pre-recorded for presentation at this time.
In the only National League contest, San Francisco surprises the Phillies 4-1. Over in the American League, Detroit explodes for 8 runs in the fourth en route to a 9-2 win over the Angels. 9 more games are slated in the majors.
Channel 8 News, The Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. With all the talk of President Ford dumping Vice President Rockefeller next year, tonight he said he wasn't going to. Ford left some vagueness, though, about whether or not how he would define dump. Let's start that turkey over. I didn't like that. Sorry.
This has been
I'll
Channel
just read
8 News, the Nightcap Edition.
Usually I just stumble on through, but... Take two.
Evening, and how are you? Well, a little bit of damp start to the Memorial Day weekend, or Labor Day, I guess it is. We'll get it right here in a second. Okay, what's happened now? The stationary front that went through the northern...
From Sacramento, here is Phil Jones.
To all stations,
Obviously, that report will be delayed. As for the president, he returned the team of Chris Everett and Martina Navratilova. And the San Francisco 49ers have released place kicker Lou Gossett. He is the 7th leading scorer in NFL history. Get rid of some of those players before the season starts.
Right.
Okay, Scott, thank you. One other Indiana note this evening.
For his departure for Evanston, Illinois, we met with Alex Agassi and asked for a few words about his offensive heroes, Pruitt, Vitale, and Dierking. Alex says they're all hot stuff, but as a former trenchman, he began to ramble about the boys up front.
Guys that have proved themselves as football players, and we got the feel will continue to get better, and they will. And of course, one of the main reasons they will be better is because
What was supposed to be a match race for 1974 Horse of the Year Forgo and Kentucky Derby winner Foolish Pleasure picked up a third participant today. Wajima with Braulio Bay's aboard surprised the field in the Marlboro Cup, the richest thoroughbred race in the country. Chick Anderson.
Looks very kind and pacific. No, he took just a little bit of an excited step for the moment.
And we also have Mr. DeMauro's guard horse here, sort of shutting us off from him.
Well, a lead pony helps too, and all of that pacifies horses in the scene in the paddock. Should we go on to the next one?
I think it's probably a good idea if we drift along. And now at number 2 is Ancient Title, a solid-looking sort of horse with a solid-looking...
Now save $50 on Sears Craftsman 10-inch radial arm saw or bench saw combination, regularly $299. Your choice, $249 now.
The ball is going to begin a search for a new president now. And Senate Majority Leader Mike Mansfield today held out.
Finally beaten by the sidelines. However, as Woody Hayes will tell you, the sidelines are the best tacklers around. They're never out of position.
Through your voice.
Speaking through the aid of a ventriloquist, it didn't take the ex-Bear quarterback Bobby Douglas long to find work. Bobby was claimed today by the San Diego Chargers. And the San Diego Qs have sent cornerman Travis the Machine Gun Grant to the Kentucky Colonels and rookie Dan Brown. I'll have more sports after this timeout.
Okay. Here's the forecast now. Clear skies tonight. Can we just back it up after the commercial and do it again? Well, I'll tell you, if it's not Hesselbarth, it's Kopic. And if it's not Kopic, it's Hesselbarth.
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. It appears now that Senator Birch Bayh has set the date to make his announcement for president. Bayh staff is saying nothing, but all signs point to October 21st as the day Bayh...
I swear to God.
Okay. Is Bruce here? Is Bruce around?
Nothing. I didn't know.
Channel 8 News, the Nightcap Edition, a summary of world, national, and local news developments.
Good morning. It appears that Indiana Senator Birch Bayh has now set the date for his announcement for president. Bayy's staff is saying nothing, but all signs point to October 21st as the day Bayh will make his formal announcement that he will seek the Democratic nomination. Damn it. I can hear him out there. I'm going to go. Hey, Bill.
Did you goof up again? Huh?
Hey, Bill. Hey, no shit. I want to get home, you know, some decent hour tonight. Let's see if he goes by that way and leaves. Okay. Okay.
Muhammad Ali, in addition to being the heavyweight boxing champion of the world, is seldom a man of just a few words, especially if he's talking about himself or his boxing ability. In a recent interview in Chicago, Ali had some nice things to say about himself and about the man he defeated last, Joe Frazier. And President Ford refused today to be drawn into predicting the outcome of the Michigan State football game. Ford, a Michigan alumnus and football player in the 1930s, told a Detroit news conference, "They're both my friends, and I like my friends."
But really, there's no doubt about it, I guess, is there, Sid?
Really, politics and football do mix.
Butler kicks off homecoming weekend with a raft race. By George, that story coming up.
Low 40s, partly cloudy and not so cool on Monday with a high 60 to 65 degrees. Clear and...
Gay Smith, Channel 8 News, Indianapolis.
Today's sports news after this.
So, Chet, honk my big snot. A sports-related activity, could that mean, say, like the mechanics in a pitch or something like that?
No.
It's a sport?
It's a sport or a semi-sport, like demolition derby can't be called a sport, you know.
Got to be moving fast.
Yeah.
Stand by.
I'm Lou Cho. Tonight, a report on that airline flight that almost wasn't. Snow turns to rain, and a final look at Turkey Day football. Big news final tonight at 10, 11. All right. It's been a while.
Broadway has Joe, but Buffalo has the juice. And there's no question about it, the former USC All-American, a bust during his first couple of years of pro football, is now the National Football League's first cabin glamour boy. However,
picket lines were set up at the world's busiest airport, O'Hare Field, near Chicago, and United said its schedule beyond the weekend would be determined on a day-to-day basis. That strike began last night at midnight. Negotiations